what they're hiding in this zombie deer disease. And is it just the mass culling of the deer? And is this why it's such a big search right now? Because I found more about why they chose this to be the next part to the next phases of a pandemic, because we found it inside of information that was released just in October, not too long from now. So is this just some crazy thing that's breaking out and deers are just going insane right now? You're seeing them run through schools and all this stuff, and is it about to be a sci-fi film? Well, no. I don't think it goes like that. I think that there's something hidden darker down in the objectives and the motives of what's going on here. First, they kept saying that COVID was mutating in deer. And whose job is it to tell us about the sequence of events when it comes to zoonotic? It is the National Bioagro Defense Facility, which experiments on deer. And here's one of the experiments they did before, the white-tailed deer, when they said it was susceptible to Rift Valley. So that is the Plum Island now of America, and it's in Kansas. They gave no warning after all the testing they do. So that's very strange. We're going to get down into the park, though, where with this whole zombie deer disease, how they've been attacking it. And obviously, one objective is to cull it in mass. You can see right here where they've been attacking it with frequencies, using lasers in long-term experiment to investigate how deer change a forest canopy. And another report goes out to say, this was in California, to restore Catalina Island natural ecosystem state weighs proposal to kill off deer species that's been there for over 100 years. Canada started shooting them from helicopters. And so now they got the list out of the states, and oh my God, and it's spreading. And one objective, yes, is to get everybody in mass panic about deer. The other objective is, I've seen it inside of this right here when I was looking at it, when they came out with this study about this zombie so-called spread apocalypse. Finland researchers actually had this simulation out, and it was about pandemics, viral disease outbreaks, and spread throughout the countries and regions and continents. But check it out when it gets deeper here, because this is what they say. World's next pandemic determining next data. World's next pandemic is challenging since it can come from existing disease outbreaks or novel infections, especially zoonotic transmissions or pathogens that spread from animals. So they came out with this in October, everybody, and they were projecting that, and then 2 months later, right after that, we get the whole zombie deer disease situation that pops up out of nowhere. And it's a chronic wasting disease, which has never infected humans, by the way. But if you was to say this pandemic was blamed on by this creature, just like they said about the other one, we could use that creature and then catapult us into the next phases. And when it really comes down to a whole zombie type scenario, we had somebody on we talked to. He was a guy who did drills, and we talked about what specific viruses would be merged together. It was MRSA. They did a study. The other simulation in 2009, it was MRSA, and it was Ebola and more like that. So they've been preparing for it. Am I saying the next pandemic is going to have something to do with zombies? No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that they need this deer agenda as a catalyst into the next phase of it. But we will play that interview. And like we were saying, like since they're using frequencies and stuff like that, they also could use music to trigger and release a deadly pathogen. We've studied into that. And all they would need is a simple smartphone, and they would be able to trigger that through pressurization and music tones and stuff like that. You could transmit it through a TV, a television, a CCTV. They found that out. UCI professor of electrical engineering. Music could be embedded with a tone, a resonant frequency, and you could technically start any type of scenario you wanted, triggering it through laboratories. But check out what the guy says here, who basically was the sheriff. Actually, he was an ex-cop, and then now he's a sheriff. and he talks about the drills and the scenario they took him through and all the craziness. And so this is talking about the whole CDC's plan behind hyping up the zombie whole scenario. But let's play this clip here and give you audio, because this whole scenario is a large setup for the next phase or whatever they want to blame stuff on.
It came out as just an exercise. At first, it wasn't told that it was a zombie. The scenario was a zombie until we got there. So we get there. The briefing was that they said, "All right, there's a viral outbreak, and you're going to be sent into this town to secure and not let the virus get out."
How would y'all secure it? What was the setup strategy for the certain situation?
Anything that was infected needed to be neutralized. So you're rounding everyone up. There's loudspeakers, helicopters. There's noise. So, I mean, it's making it to be a real world environment. It'd be like round up survivors, put them in a location, and basically they were hooded and taken away. So anyone who was a survivor, quote unquote survivor, would be taken away.
Okay, so why do you think this is even a scenario you have to drill for, and what's your take on it?
Me, I thought it was ominous. They weren't, when I asked questions, I was shot down. It was extremely, extremely serious. They talked about Ebola. Afterwards, we got debriefed. So, they talked about during the time frame, a realistic scenario is we would be left, because they couldn't determine if we could be infected or not infected.
So that full interview, we'll have a link in the comment section, and we'll also have it at the end of this video when it's over with, because that's important. But remember, if they ever trigger a release to pathogens being released, remember, whatever location that is, you definitely need to move out of there and watch what music you watch. And remember, deep healing and detoxing bacteria and virus from the body. 741HZ. Plenty music like that helps even calm you down as well, and actually helps all these toxins and stuff like that be kind of flushed. So the thing is, though, this is a big scare tactic. We're going to have more coming out. We'll have that full interview here on this hand side. We want to hear what your comments is about this. It's not just about the culling. It's the next part of a pandemic that we've decoded here. Come back for more. Subscribe. We'll have a lot coming.